First of all, fabulous, darling. They have toasted almonds on the outside that are coated in a rum butter, topped with a little flaky sea salt, that yields to this really pillowy, almost cloud-like interior that is very fragrant and is just kind of a textural and flavored journey when you bite into it. These are a few of my favorite things. This is a cookie that Julie Andrews would sing about. You can't make rum-buttered almond cookies without rum butter. So that's the first thing that we're gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and just melt my stick of butter. And I'm actually going to use the butter wrapper and just kind of cover this in case we get any explosions in the microwave. Now I'm going to add my powdered sugar and my rum. Pirates would go crazy for this cookie. And give it a nice little stir. So throughout the process of this cookie, this butter will probably re-solidify at some point. If that's the case, either blitz it in the microwave for a second or just really stir it. But for the purposes of spreading it on the parchment, ooh, this one's wet. Oh, that's the one I liked too. For the purposes of spreading it on the parchment, having it be nice and warm and loose is perfect. And just gonna give it a brush. I feel like Bob Ross. So now that your sheet trays are prepped and your rum butter's made, you've got really the hard part done. And you can continue with the recipe. Spoiler alert, it's very easy. One of the other great things about this recipe is that you really can go from mixing bowl to cookie in your mouth in about 30 minutes. And that's usually the kind of cookie that I like to make. So I have here super fine almond flour. You don't want to get the almond flour that has remnants of the skins on them. I've baked with that before and I find that it creates this weird consistency and almost kind of dries out whatever you're baking with it. I just don't like it. So if you can find like super fine blanched almond flour, that would be great. And we're gonna whisk this, so don't worry about a little lump here or there. Now I like the powdered sugar in this recipe. I found that because powdered sugar is milled super fine but also has cornstarch in it, it kind of creates for this even softer yielding cookie, which I love. Because this is made with almond flour, it is a gluten-free cookie, which is really exciting. I feel like this might be our first gluten-free cookie week cookie. Do not quote me on that. I think especially around the holidays, you don't want anybody to like feel left out. So make them these cookies. They're gluten-free. It's got a nice teaspoon of salt because it needs it. The first time I made these cookies, they were, whoa, very sweet. And I'm just gonna whisk this together. My powdered sugar is a little lumpy. I'm not gonna do it, so I'm not gonna ask you to do it. Sift. In this economy, I'm just gonna try to take care to like get most of those lumps out. And anything that's like really large that my whisk isn't breaking up, I can honestly just go in there and break it up with my hand. The cut on my finger makes me so fancy because now everything I have to do pinkies up. So this recipe calls for 1 egg and 2 egg whites. The egg whites really provide a nice structure to the cookie. And I like that 1 yolk in there just to give it a little bit more fat, make it a little bit more unctuous. Oh, I said, oh, duh. I meant to do that in that bowl. Oh, Lord. Meep. Is there a trash can in the house? Now I've got my full egg in there. So to this, I'm gonna add my flavorings. I don't have a tiny whisk, so I'm just gonna take a fork and break this up and mix it really thoroughly. Just make a little well just for my wet ingredients to land in the center of my bowl. And I'm just gonna use a spatula to bring it all together. You don't really run the risk of over mixing it because it's almond flour and has no gluten in it. So at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and scoop these and roll them in my slivered almonds. If you wanted to make these ahead of time, you could actually just refrigerate the dough like this, honestly, because it'll still be super easy to scoop it. At this point, choose your own adventure. But if you're looking for like instant gratification, then honestly, scoop them now, bake them now. You don't have to be super precious with this. The dough is a little soft at this stage, but it's not like unworkable, right? If you're finding that it's too soft, by all means, go ahead and pop it in the fridge for like 30 minutes. But honestly, it doesn't bother me to like get my hands a little dirty. These don't really spread. You could probably fit at least 8 or 9 cookies per tray. I wasn't being very precious with my scoop, so I did get 13 instead of the like 14 to 16 that you would get. No big deal. The last step before we bake them is to brush them in the rum butter. The top of my rum butter did kind of start to solidify, just is a little cold in here, so I'm just gonna give it a nice little mix. All right, bath time, angels. It's like I'm like putting on moisturizer before they go to bed. Okay, these are gonna go in the oven for about 20-22 minutes. Basically what you're looking for is the tops are gonna get nice and kind of golden brown. Those almonds are gonna start to toast. It'll be really fragrant. Alrighty, night night. Should we learn how to make a hot buttered rum? Ooh, they are looking toasty and absolutely gorgeous. Wow, I made these so much bigger than those. Oh, that's funny. So I did blitz the butter for like 20 seconds, and I'm gonna brush the tops of these with the rum butter once more. Ooh, you hear that sizzle? They look so toasty and delicious. And this acts as a glaze, but it also soaks into the cookie itself. It just gets really like extra rum butter. So the last step is to just top these with a little flaky sea salt. Fun. They've been cooling for probably about 5 minutes on the baking sheets, and now they're ready to be transferred to the wire rack. It's taking like every ounce of willpower to not just like, yeah, those look cute. The willpower's just not willpower in today, so I'm just gonna bite into one of these. Let's see. I think I want this one, just because it's got nice toasty almonds all over it. It smells so good. I'm very excited. They are still warm on the inside, but okay. Wow, you have that like fragrant toasty almond as you're biting into it. You do get a little hit of the salt right away, and that kind of like luscious coating of the rum butter, and that just like makes way for this interior that's fluffy. Gift them to your friends, gift them to your family, cookies to say I love you. As soon as I bit into that cookie, I was like, it's a hug. It's a hug and a cookie. Click the link below, you'll find this cookie, you'll find all the